Gonna try the tower now though. Which of these two 300 feet per second Nerf blasters do you think has the longer barrel? The top one or the bottom one? Comment your guess down below, because today I'm taking a look at the Singaporean upgrade to the Lynx, fittingly named the Slynx. Now, the original Lynx was designed by Orion Blasters in the USA, and I made a video on that back in 2021. The Slynx was modified by Sean, who I got to meet while I was in Singapore earlier this year. And at Nerf games, especially among the Malaysian Nerfers, you guys might know him instead by his call sign, Kimchi. I actually got to try a prototype of the Slynx back in May, and although Kimchi won't be selling these to the public, at least not for now, he's still undecided at this stage, what he has done is made the 3D printed files available online for anyone to download and print for themselves. Now, there is a very obvious benefit, dare I say advantage, to Bullpups, and of course the Aussie guy on the internet whose country uses the Steyr, and the Singapore guy who sent it to him whose country uses the SAR-21. Of course, these two people are fans of Bullpups, you might say. But now for the reveal. The Slynx on the bottom here has a 65cm barrel, while the Apex Prime up top has a shorter 58cm barrel. So the Slynx in this comparison actually has a 7cm longer barrel, while the blaster as a whole is around 30cm shorter, or around 1.5 bananas for my American viewers who don't know centimeters. That shorter length allows this 300 feet per second Nerf sniper to also be incredibly effective in close quarters, allowing you to maneuver around obstacles and get kills that you otherwise wouldn't have a hope in hell of getting with a full-size blaster. Now, if you remember back to my original Lynx video, that too was capable of shooting 300 feet per second velocities. So, what's changed with the Slynx and why is it better? While the original Lynx was capable of shooting 300, it required an 18kg long shot spring to do so, which made the prime weight excessively heavy and also put greater stress on the blaster itself, which is already 3D printed. Kimchi decided to modify the plunger head and spring rest, as well as slightly extend the length of the plunger tube, in total giving the Slynx an air volume upgrade to 130 cc's. Sitting halfway between a Sabre M20 and the new Apex Prime, for example. This gives the Slynx much higher performance and the ability to use lower power springs compared to the original Lynx. Today I've got two different springs to try, an 11kg which averages around 287 feet per second while feeling incredibly light to prime, and a 13kg spring which averages 302 feet per second while being light enough to still prime with one finger. I'll do a full chrono test of both later on in the video. So the TLDR of the Slynx versus the original Lynx is that it has more power, offers a softer prime weight, and puts less stress on the 3D printed plastic parts, with the trade-off being slightly more length. Which, if you have long arms like myself, that's actually a benefit of its own since the stock on the Lynx is non-adjustable. So I think it's wins all round. Beginning my overview at the front of the blaster, Kimchi included his favorite B car, which I'll leave a carousel link to down below. Carousel is basically the Singapore version of eBay. It's a metal B car with 12 bearings in 3 groups of 4, and it clamps down onto the barrel similar to a garden hose fitting by tightening a nut over the prongs. The barrel itself can be removed by loosening the thumb screws on either side of the blaster. It has a 13mm ID, 16mm OD, and 650mm length. You could source a compatible barrel from Worker, Monkey Mods, Sabre, and many others. Most Nerf springers use a 13mm by 16. With the barrel removed, you can access the spring by removing the front pin and sliding the barrel shroud and priming bars out past the trigger. Put the other spring in. Cocking the spring makes this step a little bit easier, I found. And then close it all back up, insert the pin, and reinstall the barrel, making sure you tighten those 2 thumb screws to hold the barrel in place. On the sides of the barrel shroud, it has just for looks M-lock slots. Don't try attaching anything here because the priming block will collide with your attachment. I think they do look nice though. It breaks up the design a bit, making it better than just having a plain shroud. And at the bottom, there's a Picatinny rail for your front grip. I've added a fairly generic MOE grip on mine, but the grip you use is entirely up to you. Up top, there's a Picatinny rail that runs halfway along the blaster. I highly suggest using some kind of 1x red dot sight because a blaster like this is fully capable of hitting exactly where you aim. And it especially destroys in close quarters, where I think iron sights or even a magnified scope would hold you back a little. Pretty much the only downside I noticed with the Slynx, and this is apparently, according to Kimchi, a carryover from the original Lynx, is how wobbly the trigger guard is. When I mentioned this to him, he said he's going to tighten up the tolerances and update the files after hearing my feedback on it. The trigger pull is what you'd expect from a 3D printed blaster. Since it is made of plastic, it has a little bit of flex to it before it fires. There's no wall that you can feel either. It has constant pressure the entire length of travel. The Slynx, just like the Lynx, takes worker Talon mags, and they can be inserted or removed at any time, even with the breech closed. It has a nice flared mag well, making it easy to insert your mags, especially for you guys who have trouble getting it in the hole. And hitting the mag release allows gravity drops for those quick reloads. At the back, Kimchi's designed a nice curved stock that sits comfortably against your shoulder. And also here at the back, you'll find the rear takedown pin, which you shouldn't really need to use in day-to-day use. It's more for fully disassembling the blaster and getting to the U-turn. Taking a wider look at the rear half of the blaster, I'll explain the firing sequence and how this blaster actually works, in case you've never seen a Bullpup design before. When you pull back on the front grip, it compresses the spring between the piston and the moving catch, and at the same time, it locks the piston into the catch. It also opens the breech above the mag, allowing a dart to feed upwards. When you move the front grip forwards again, the piston, spring and catch all move together into the firing position, aligning the catch with the trigger. At the same time as this, the breech also closes and chambers a dart. When you pull the trigger, the piston fires backwards towards your shoulder, forcing air into a U-turn and up into the barrel, sending the dart out towards your enemies. Because of the moving catch, just like the original Lynx, the Slynx also has slam fire, but I'm intentionally not going to show it. Slam firing a blaster like this is doing a huge disservice to Kimchi, who put all his time into optimizing the barrel length to give you the best performance and accuracy. If you want to slam fire something, stick with the original or get an elite Alpha Trooper. With this blaster, I highly recommend actually aiming your shots rather than flailing the blaster around slam firing it and losing all of that accuracy. It's truly pinpoint accurate in CQB and you'll dominate people if you actually take the time to aim.
Back again, Choji.
One final thing I'd like to point out are the ambi sling points located at both the front and rear of the blaster. I never use a sling myself, so I almost forgot to even mention these, but for a full day event, you may end up getting good use out of them. With that, I think I've pretty much covered all I can say about the Slynx, so now let's get on with some testing. The darts I'll be using today are Worker Bamboos, kindly provided by Foamwork Adelaide here in Australia. Find them at the link down below. First up, I'll do a chrono test of both springs. I have the B car attached and the weaker of the two installed. That is the very lightweight 11 kilogram spring.
286, 291, 290, 284, 284. I want to try and see how light of a prime this is. One finger, easily. 287. Can I do pinky prime? Not quite. 282, 290, 289, 296, 286, 294, 283. Definitely think a kid could prime this one. I mean, maybe they have to be over 10, but that's 284, 289, and that's all 15.
With the 11 kilogram spring, it shot a high of 296, low of 282, average of 287, with a standard deviation of 4. I was not expecting this high of a velocity out of such a weak spring. Kimchi even labeled the spring on that green sticker there with 265 FPS as the name. I think the humid conditions over in Singapore must hold this blaster back a little bit compared to here in South Australia. Now I'll try the 13 kilogram spring, which Kimchi says should shoot around 300 feet per second, but now I'm not so sure what to expect.
298. And again, I just want to see how light this spring is. One finger, easily. 300. 295. 303. 296. 310. 308. 305. 306, 301, a little awkward using my right hand to prime, usually use my left, 310, 308, 302, 302, 299, that's all 15.
The 13 kilogram spring shot a high of 310, low of 295, average of 302, with a standard deviation of 4.8. Slightly hotter than the 300 Kimchi expected, and very impressive for such a lightweight spring. But I think it's time now for an accuracy test using that 13 kilogram spring.
Okay guys, from 30 meters away, or 98 feet, going to be aiming at the skull here, and due to gravity, by the time they reach a target, they'll be landing around the center. It'd also help if I wasn't crouching down using the chair for a rest, but I like to get as precise of a shot for these accuracy tests as I can, so I just need to aim a little bit higher at that skull. Hit. 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 That was a little more to the left though. Hit. That was a bit higher and to the left. Hit. Nice and central. Bit lower and to the right. Hit. That's all 15. This, just from eyesight, looks very good. I don't think it's quite as good as the Sabre Apex Prime, but I think it's better than most other things like a Worker Harrier, for example.
At a distance of 30 meters, the Slynx, along with the B-cart that Kimchi sent me, shot a grouping 45 centimeters tall and 40 centimeters wide. That's a very impressive result, putting it on par with other springers like the Worker Harrier or Saber M20, for example. But after testing the Slynx and getting 32 kills with it in a single round of gameplay, what do I think of it overall? Well, I think it goes without saying that Kimchi has done an absolutely brilliant job improving on the original Lynx. He expanded the plunger tube and got it up to 300 feet per second with an incredibly light 13 kilogram spring load. As evident in the gameplay footage, that makes it incredibly easy to prime in rapid succession to take out enemy after enemy, and by the way, your arm doesn't even feel it at the end of the day. The fact that this is Bullpup makes it way shorter than any other similarly powered Nerf sniper, meaning you can easily take this into close quarters and absolutely dominate with it thanks to the incredible accuracy it possesses. Playing in tight spaces is something I wouldn't dream of doing with other 300 feet per second Nerf snipers. Their long barrel simply gets in the way. Not a thing at all with the Slynx. You don't have to feel relegated to open areas when you use something short like this. And with that accuracy at such a close range, even enemies on the run will be one shot, one kill. Just line them up, put that red dot sight on them and pull the trigger. While the Full Metal Apex Prime might be the best blaster I currently own, the Slynx is definitely the most practical, most versatile, and easiest to get kills with blaster I own. If the Slynx were also full metal, there would be absolutely no contest. It would be my favorite Nerf blaster of all time. A few years ago, there was someone looking to make a full metal version of the original Lynx, but they ended up backing out of that idea. I personally hope that someone else will follow through on that with the Slynx, because I think a full metal Slynx would be the ultimate Nerf springer. But what do you guys think? Is 3D printed good enough for you? Maybe even injection molded? And has this video changed your mind on bullpups? Let me know in the comments down below. Find the files to print a Slynx of your own at the links down below. That's all I have for you today. Consider giving this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down to let me know what you thought of it. And here's 2 other videos you might enjoy, including the full 32 kills of gameplay footage. That's all from one round. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.